Welcome to The Explainer. Today we're digging into something you probably don't think about much: the hidden speed bumps, the traffic jams, happening inside the world's smartest factories. You know, we have this picture in our heads of automation, right? A perfect, smooth-flowing superhighway where everything just works. But the reality? It can be a lot more like a gridlocked city street at rush hour. And in a factory, that means one tiny problem can bring the entire production line to a screeching halt. Okay, so let's back up a second. Why are companies pouring billions and billions of dollars into automation in the first place? Well, it's all about chasing that dream, that incredible promise of a perfect, super efficient production line. I mean, the goals are pretty clear, right? It's all about unmatched accuracy, incredible speed, and rock-solid reliability. We're talking about being more cost-effective and cranking up production efficiency. Think about it. A robot can weld a car door with a precision that's just impossible for a human to hit every single time. So yeah, it really boils down to making things better, faster, and cheaper, with way, way fewer mistakes. So the ultimate vision, the dream, is this flawless, continuous operation, 24/7. Raw materials flow in one end, and a perfect finished product rolls out the other, with absolutely zero interruptions. That's the holy grail. But what happens when that perfect, dreamy system hits a snack? Well, let's take a look. Because this is exactly where we run into the dreaded bottleneck. So, what is an automation bottleneck? Well, the best way to think about it is like that one slow car hogging the fast lane on the highway. It doesn't matter if you're in a Ferrari, right? You can't go any faster than the car in front of you. It's the same in a factory. One single point of congestion can limit the entire process, causing delays and backups for everybody else down the line. And this really lays it out perfectly. On one side, you've got a smooth flow. Input equals output. Everything is in sync, running at max efficiency. But on the other side, you've got the bottleneck. Input is way greater than output. You've got delays, backups, and machines just sitting there idle. It's pure, wasted potential. Now here's where it gets really interesting. One of the sources points out something kind of counterintuitive. Sometimes the bottleneck isn't an old, clunky machine. It's the shiny new one. The study they mentioned looked at an apparel production line and found that the switch from manual to automated machines actually degraded performance. Why? Well, think about it. If you drop in a new robot, but the humans working with it aren't trained properly, you can actually slow things down. Okay, so how do we fix these production traffic jams? How do we break the bottlenecks? Well, engineers have come up with an incredible toolkit of technologies to do just that. Let's take a look at some of these solutions. You've got things like AI and machine learning. Think object detection that can literally see and identify parts on the fly. Then there are the advanced robots that can say, pull a defective product right off the line. And connecting it all, you've got the industrial Internet of Things, or IoT, and control systems like PLCs. These are the brains and nervous system, controlling conveyor belts and cycle times. And they all work together. Imagine an AI camera spots a bad part. It tells the PLC, which then commands a robot to remove it. Boom, all in a split second. And here's a fantastic real-world case study of how this works: smart 3D printing. First, you have sensors on the printer just collecting tons of real-time data. That data gets zapped up to an AI in the cloud for analysis. Then, and this is the cool part, the AI acts. If it sees a tiny problem that could lead to a failure, it automatically tweaks the printer's settings to prevent it. It's a system that stops a bottleneck before it can even start. And you see these kinds of fixes everywhere. Our sources mention using welding automation to keep up with a flood of new orders, or automated painting robots to boost productivity. And it's not just about the big physical robots either. Think about all the paperwork and time wasted on that. That's where things like ERP systems come in to automate inspection and data, getting rid of those administrative bottlenecks that can slow things down just as much as a faulty machine. But here's the thing. The solution isn't always about just buying something new and shiny. Sometimes the real challenge, the real bottleneck, is connecting the stuff you already have. I mean, this is such a critical challenge. You can go out and buy the most advanced, expensive robot on the planet, but if it can't talk to the 20-year-old machine sitting right next to it, you haven't solved a bottleneck. You've just created a new, very expensive one. And that's why a huge piece of the automation puzzle is all about modernizing those connections. It's about creating a common language for all the equipment, things like upgrading old systems and adopting modern data standards. You can even use industrial IoT sensors to make old machines smart so they can finally talk to the new guys. It's all about getting every piece of equipment, old and new, speaking the same language so they can work together. All right, and finally, let's talk about maybe the most important part of any factory, the people. When it comes to the workforce, our sources show that automation is really two sides of the same coin. On one hand, you have the challenges. It costs a lot, it's technically complex, and like we saw, there's even a risk of performance going down. But on the other hand, look at the opportunities. It can be a tool for retaining the staff you have, for attracting new hires, and maybe most importantly, for freeing people up to do higher value tasks. And that's the big shift in thinking. It's not just about replacing people anymore. It's about empowering them. The whole narrative is changing to see automation as a way to make jobs better, safer, and frankly, more interesting. So what's the big takeaway here? The real breakthrough isn't just plugging in a robot and calling it a day. It's about creating an intelligent, flexible, and fully integrated system where everything, the machines, the data, and the people, work together in perfect harmony. Which really leaves us with a final question to chew on. As the technology gets more and more powerful, is the final bottleneck in automation really the tech itself? Or is it our own imagination and how we use it?